live. I'm not going live and drive. I just saw some goats. We are on our way back to Augusta. We're currently in South Carolina. Just had an amazing day. Just being busy, doing things. Last night was amazing. If you guys didn't know, I am doing your questions and answers. So if you have any questions, sports-oriented questions, I got you. Just ask them, and I'll do my best to answer them, if I know the answer. But last night, UFC, Saudi Arabia, went 9-2. It's a phenomenal feeling. Also went, 8-3 on the parlays. Excuse that, we hit a huge bump. So 8-3 on the parlays. And I'm not saying we had an 11-leg parlay and we got 8 of them right. No, what I'm saying is we had 11 different parlays and props, and 8 of them hit. That includes our 5 lock parlay. If you don't know what any of this means, I'll stop talking about parlays and props and locks. I'm just going to tell you that shout out to the MVPs on Patreon and YouTube. They probably won a ton of money yesterday. Probably feeling pretty good about Sunday. You can eat. Oh, look at a little gopher. You see that dude? Oh, that dude was cool. You saw a fat ass gopher right now. He was above ground, just walking around. I haven't seen a gopher like that. I don't think I've ever seen one like that ever in my life. That dude was beast, man. You know what he looked like? He looked like Punxsutawney Phil. He looked like Groundhog Day. Is that a gopher in Groundhog Day? Yeah. Is it a gopher that's supposed to see his shadow? Is that what it is? Punxsutawney Phil?
Yeah.
It is, right?
Yes.
Like, dude, listen to us. We don't know what we're saying. So I'm a passenger in the car. Kim is driving. She's getting us home. We just had an amazing dinner in Greenville, South Carolina. If you guys ever get a chance, try to go sit down and enjoy the ambiance. We watched the waterfall for a little bit. Got a little nervous on the bridge, man. There's a one cord cable bridge, and we'll see how that goes. But we ate at a place called Grill Marks. Great burger joint. Got my first question of the night. Let's go. Shout out to you guys. How are you feeling about the Badgers offseason? Bobby Albright, a diehard Badgers fan. Shout out to Bobby. He's back from last season. Just so you guys know, I will be doing my 1.5 to 3 hour. I think I'm going to try to keep it to 2 hours every night. My podcast. Well, I will be starting that sometime in July in preparation for the season. So I'll be getting after that, and we'll be doing those podcasts every single day. And if you didn't know, every single Big Ten day, I have to answer Bobby Albright's questions about Wisconsin. So if we can talk about Wisconsin as a whole, I'll go down each position group and just let you guys know what's up. So first and foremost, you get a quarterback, Tyler Van Dyke, coming over from Miami. Hopefully he does the job, right? Last year was a little underwhelming with the quarterback play, and you kind of were just floundering out there. Tyler Van Dyke's been an NFL prospect for a long time. Coming from the upper Northeast, the NFL scouts love his size, his arm strength, all that stuff. He's always been on the short list for quality quarterbacks, but they never really believe in him. His results on the field have never been that great. Now, at Miami, you have some of the best receivers possible. The fact that he kept Emory Williams on the bench, Ja'Cory Brown on the bench, Jake Garcia on the bench, it's telling me he's a pretty good quarterback. But it was time to go. You go to Wisconsin. Let's see what they're coming over from North Carolina last year. Hopefully he can come together. But the hardest thing, when you have a system like that, is you need these guys to have 5 years, at least 3 years in your system, and you're not having that. You're having a bunch of rotating, system guys. Now at running back, they were really thin. Last year, they lost Isaac Guerrero to Louisville. They lost Julius Davis to Montana State. They lost, there's another running back they lost. And then so you have Braylon Allen and nobody else. And you end up at some point with your starting running back being Aker. I don't think Aker's going to be the running back this year. I don't think you should even see the field. They have these 2 freshmen that I went and looked up, and I really did my film study on these guys. Dylan, I want to say his name is Dylan. Is it Dylan Jones, maybe? It's Dylan, and Dylan's spelled differently. Homie is sensational. And then they signed 3 running backs. Another running back. He's a change of pace back. I want to say he was ranked like 50th in the nation coming out of high school. I think the rankings got it wrong. Both these guys look phenomenal. I think they'll be in the rotation. Obviously, Tawee Walker just transferred in, coming over from Oklahoma. That's a kid who, you're second or third string at Oklahoma, and everybody thinks you're an end. And you got Ches, who, Ches Malusi, a transfer from Clemson, who hasn't really been able to play a full season. He's been injured. So we need to find youth, and we found that. I think we need to find more dependability in the running back room. They found that. So it looks like a good running back. Wide receivers, he can't been a starter in college. looks pretty exciting. And there's just a number of guys. I think that this kid named Trench, he's a slot receiver from Bishop Gorman / then he moved over. And I say Hawaii, I'm talking like St. Louis. Oh my God, he's good. Oh my God, he's good. He's a great slot receiver. Cincinnati should be in the starting lineup. I think one's Joe Huber and the other kid, his name escapes me right now. But, you know, you lost your starting center to the NFL draft, being a forced connect. We are out in the sticks. That's unfortunate. It says reconnecting here. I'm out in the sticks, y'all. I'm so sorry for the show. I wish I'll wait for it to come back. I'm sorry about that, guys. We are out in the sticks, so every now and then I'll lose connection. But what I was saying is Trench is great. Offensive line is great. Defensive line, getting some of these transfers coming in. John Pius coming over from William & Mary, complete stud. All the linebackers in the transfer portal they signed are pretty. Went to Cincinnati, eventually made the starting lineup. 6'4", 250 pounds. Last year he transferred to Arkansas, was in the top one, one of the team's leaders in tackles. Then this year, transfers back to Wisconsin to get back with his old coaching staff. I know when you look at the recruiting rankings and the transfer portal rankings offline or online, they'll tell you that Tackett Curtis is one of the greatest transfer linebackers and all this. No, Tackett Curtis is not even going to be in the rotation as far as I'm concerned. There's some other studs that came in the transfer portal that are probably more impactful. In the secondary, knees, bro. One of the very best. I really like where Wisconsin's headed. They just got to put it together on a Saturday. Schedule stuff. But top to bottom, that team looks pretty impressive to me. I've obviously studied every team in America at length. If you guys aren't aware, with the MVPs, I do a deep dive on every single team, just like I did with Wisconsin here off the top of my head. But I do these videos for about 30 minutes where I talk about everybody and everything and where I think they're headed, and then I give predictions on their win totals. So if you want to know how well your team's going to do, if you want to be able to bet on that and maybe make some money on a futures bet, you still have time. You got about a month left. Just go to Patreon, join it, become an MVP, and you'll never lose. I mean, that's what we're doing. We're winning. By the way, you'll get to watch all the UFC pay-per-views and get all the fights right. That's what we've been doing. So shout out to you for the question, Bobby. Appreciate you for being here for yet another year. Going to do another football season with you guys and make everybody smarter, more informed, and ready for the football season. Shout out to GFT. Salute, Rico. What up, man? I appreciate you, GFT. Bobby says he can't wait for Trench. We got Eric Zempininski. Yo, you got a tough-ass name, bro. Eric says, don't see a deep run with that schedule this year and don't believe in the air raid yet. Yeah, man, I think it's going to be difficult to go do a quote-unquote deep run. I don't think that that's necessary, but I do see a change in culture and maybe an understanding of what their approach is going to be. I believe in Luke Fickell as a head coach. So the results will take time, but Luke Fickell's approach to building a championship team and changing culture is real. Anytime I see CJ Williams not in the starting lineup, I know your receiving core is amazing. Anytime I see certain players transfer from your school and they become draft picks, pretty amazing position group, right? Shout out to Garindo. But I just think that there's levels to this, and obviously the Big Ten is loaded. No longer having a East and West legends and whatever it was, all that shit, I get it. But it feels right. It feels like Wisconsin's building, and the product will have to improve, obviously, but they have some pieces to be great. Don't get it twisted. I really like what they're doing. Tyler Stinnett says, Rico, how you feeling about Auburn this year? Hugh Freeze can recruit, but how do you feel about his coaching? I actually think his coaching is elite. Excuse all the shaking, bro. I'm hitting bumps. I actually think his coaching is elite. Hugh Freeze at Auburn this year is going to have a tough year. I know a lot of people see a ton of wins, or they're expecting, I think somebody online, who was it, that Pate guy? Josh Pate is on the take, bro. He came out and said they're going to win 9 games, or they have the possibility to win 9 games. I don't see it like that. I'm not going to give you an exact win total because I sell that on Patreon. But I will tell you that if you want to know what I think about their win total, go to Patreon. But with that being said, Hugh Freeze is a hell of a coach. He cannot go out there and play for these kids, right? These kids got to do it on their own. And when you get Peyton Thorne at your quarterback spot and you don't replace that with one of these great quarterbacks, there's just no excuse for it. For example, how could they not be in the running to get Cam Ward? How could you not go and pay $2 to $3 million, whatever it takes, to be the highest bidder for Cam Ward and make sure you have a winning season, because that's what Cam Ward would bring to your level. Like, he would bring that to your team. But instead, you just kind of lowball it and put it into recruits. I get it, but you need to ensure you're going to win this year, or at least start winning, and that will attract recruits, and you won't have to pay as much to get them. That's the reality, right? Some teams aren't having to pay as much because they have a winning pedigree and they know who they are. I know that that's what happened with Georgia. They didn't have to pay that much for Rashada, because it's Georgia. Georgia's self-recruiting itself. Yes, they're paying players, but it's not as much as others would have to pay to get a one-off or one impact transfer. I think Auburn probably needed to address a key position group, like get somebody elite and ensure they're going to win. Instead, you get Peyton Thorne, who, what's his ceiling? What is Peyton Thorne's ceiling? Yeah, I don't know. He is a dual threat guy, whether people believe that or not. He is very athletic, but there's a ceiling there. I did miss, I missed last year. I missed on a couple teams, so I could miss. I could get it wrong, but I don't think I am. I look at the SEC. I look at their schedules. I study everything. So I kind of know the opposition, study what they're going to be doing. I'm not too excited about Auburn. Losing Cam Riley really hurts. One of the leaders of your defense. That's tough. Remember last year they lost Tolan, the transfer from LSU. So the linebacker group has just been getting whittled away, and they're really not showing anything. Even Larry Nixon Jr., Larry Nixon III, transferred in from North Texas. It just didn't pan out. So, yeah, you can go and get a 4 or 5-star wide receiver or something. But until you start keeping guys like Peter Woods at home from Clemson, if Clemson's taking the best players out of Alabama and you're getting the third best, or maybe the fourth best players, because all the best players are going to Alabama. Stop. Train tracks. All the best are going, I don't know. Maybe it's coming up. Don't get me killed, lady. I don't know where you got me going anyways. You got me on these back roads. You know where you're going?
Yes.
This girl got me going the scenic route home, I promise you. Yeah. Rashada should be paying. Hey, shout out to you, Regalo. I don't know, bro. I just ate Mexican food. I might be more Mexican. Hey, let me get some carne asada. And they said, what? Sin cebollas, wait. And the guy said, excuse me? What would you like on your napkin? Was that the whitest waiter we ever had at a Mexican restaurant?
Yes.
We got, hey, let me tell you guys the rules before I get to the comments. Tell you guys the rules. You walk into a Mexican restaurant, you better look around, bro. If it's good. If they only got white people working there, probably not good. I'm just saying. We went to the Mexican restaurant. Dude walked up, looked like he was a member of Blink-182, bro. I was like, how are you guys doing today? What would you like? I said, I'd like water with some lemon. He said, all we have is lime. Would you like water with lime? Who wants lime water, bro? Who you messing with? Lime water? That's so ridiculous. What do you think I want? Rona with like, what is this shit, bro? Like this? I knew it. I knew I was going to be in trouble. And they didn't have any rice. No rice. A Mexican restaurant with no rice or beans. They just served tacos, huh? There was no variety in this restaurant. All it served was tacos. It was like a damn taco truck, like a street truck, but it was a restaurant. It was delicious. Don't let me throw shade at that. All right, I'm getting to the next question here. Next comment. Who's your favorite in the Big 12? I think Kansas has a shot at the title. So, Bobby Albright, my favorite in the Big 12 is actually West Virginia, but obviously the schedule's brutal for them. So when you say that, then you have to go ahead and say, all right, Kansas is the favorite. But Kansas has one quarterback who cannot finish a season, right? Jalen Daniels cannot finish a season. I love Kansas receiving corps. I love, obviously, Devin Neal at running back. I love everything about him. Shout out to Graham and the boys. I love them. But let me tell you guys a team nobody's talking about. There's two teams nobody's talking about that they should be talking about. And that's Iowa State and Utah. Iowa State and Utah. And I know, Arizona's here. They're going to be great. But Iowa State and Utah are real. And the reason Utah's so real, they just won the Pac-12 back-to-back years when Cam Rising's healthy. When Cam Rising's healthy, you're not messing with them. They beat a Heisman Trophy winning team. They beat a guy, they beat people. Utah's not a game. So I think that if you study the talent on the rosters, Utah looks loaded. Kansas, Obviously, I love everything about Kansas, but with your quarterback, you're running into a problem because he's pretty fragile. And then we have Iowa State, West Virginia. I mean, there's just so many great teams. UCF, Texas, and the Big 12 that are really in the whole, like they're going to be competitive week in and week out. They're going to be very difficult to do it. The Big 12 is very even. I don't think they're mid. I think they're very even. Thank you for the insight, Rico. Yeah, I'm not high on Peyton Thorne at all. I see improvement due to his new weapons, but nothing special. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get good skill players in the SEC. Most teams have very good skill players. You need everything else, so they need to figure that out. Rico Knows in the house. What up, Mike Schmidt? Just today on Herd, they were talking about me. I told it's all they wrote. I'm the GOAT. You know we're out in the country when stop signs are bigger than your car. Where the hell are we, baby? I haven't seen another car.
Babe, there's plenty of cars.
I haven't seen anybody. She's taking me out in the sticks, bro. She's taking me out in the sticks. Civilization's rough. These people are not civilized. You ever been out in the country, like way out there, and you're like, yo, these people don't have internet. I don't know. I got internet, so we're staying straight. If you guys have any more questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat. I'll answer. I said, hey, stop reconnecting, bro. Stop disconnecting on me. So I told him, hey, man, you want to go to dinner? And I took light work to dinner, met up with him, he and his significant other, and I said, hey, I'd like to take you and the missus out. Kim and I will come through. I was going to be in Atlanta anyways for the 5-star camp. So I take him to dinner. We sit down at dinner. We're having a good time talking or whatever. And out of nowhere, I don't know what happened, but I just started talking about sports. And I could tell, like, in an instant, he's looking at me like, yo, this dude is tripping, bro. Rico's crazy. Because I just started going. And I could just name anything and everything and he's just looking at me like, yo, this is remarkable. Like, how do you do this in person? I do this every day. I don't rehearse nothing. You could ask Kim, I don't even be nothing, right? It's just ready to go.
Yeah.
It's just up here. It's just rapid fire, y'all. I got my favorite cosigner here. All right, we got a question. Thoughts on K-State? My thoughts on K-State are pretty simple. You might believe in their quarterback this upcoming season, but I'm not sold. And I'll have to be convinced that he's any good. I have yet to see him throw the ball effectively. Avery Johnson, that is. I have yet to see him throw effectively or be the guy that everybody claims he is. I've looked at everything. I watched him start his games. I just don't see it. And so I need to see it before I can believe in them. I think K-State is very slow on the back end of their defense. I think with the addition of these newer teams in the Big 12, they're going to see an increase in wide receiver speed, and I don't think they're ready for it. This is how they get beat over the top by wide receivers. Yes, like Missouri beat them last year. You just have certain guys that can beat your DBs and get over the top. So I don't like K-State's defensive speed at the very top. Yes, they're great. Chris Kleiman as a coach is amazing. He develops his talent. Their defensive front seven is always great. I love a lot of things about that team. I don't like the team speed on the defensive side of the ball, and I don't think they match up well with a lot of these teams that are, the Big 12 is traditionally about a 1,200, 1,500-yard rusher that will just kind of maul you and get his yards. That is not the way these teams are going to play. Arizona State, Utah, Colorado, and now you start looking at it. Texas Tech got a receiving core. UCF with a receiving core. Houston's always going to have one. They just had to get some Tulsa transfers in. That's a little weird and different. But you're looking at teams with wide receiver cores that can just beat you over the top, and they're not used to that. So I think K-State's going to have some growing pains until they find some real defenders. They just lost Will Lee III to Texas A&M. He's a blanket. He's a great corner. It doesn't look good in that regard, but yeah, I'm encouraged by K-State because they're a known commodity and they're good, but I feel like they're 4th or 5th in the Big 12 this year just because of their lack of that I can answer that. I think in my top 3 SEC running backs, Jaquindon Johnson is actually one of them. Jaquindon Jackson, I'm sorry. But skill-wise, he's amazing. He's better than a lot of guys. Maybe Hunter. So Hunter, Jackson, Jaquindon Jackson, Hunter, Carroll, Marcus Carroll, Missouri. Bro, that's a big ass cock.
That is a big cock.
That is a big cock, bro. Cock-a-doodle-doo. All right. Yeah, so give me Hunter, Carroll at Missouri, and man, I don't want to get it wrong. Texas has Baxter. Oklahoma has. Who does Oklahoma have? Oh, they have what's his face. Okay. It's not Tennessee, not South Carolina. Rocket Sanders, no. Not Georgia, not Miami, or not Florida, not Georgia, not Alabama. Auburn, LSU, no, not Ole Miss. We got Auburn. Trying not to miss one, man. Question. It's tough. I think Auburn, Missouri, they stick out to me. Running backs. That's kind of where I'm at on that. Here's the clear favorite. I don't agree at all. I think Ole Miss is probably poised to finally beat Alabama. I think that's a realistic assessment. Ole Miss has been getting better and better every single year. Alabama obviously losing. Let me say this to you. If Alabama wins the SEC, then Nick Saban is not the greatest coach of all time. Because if you lose the greatest coach of all time and you don't have a drop back, then how great was he? Then maybe it was just the players. You know what I'm saying? Like there's got to be an immense amount of fall off when you lose the GOAT. There has to be. In processes, in development, in assessment of talent, there has to be something that falls off, or else he's not the GOAT. That's just the reality. If you can replace the greatest coach of all time with another dude who's kind of okay, then he's not the greatest coach of all time. That's just the way it goes. That's how I feel. This is why when I look at like Coach Osborne at Nebraska, that's the greatest coach of all time in that moment, because when they replaced him, it wasn't close. They didn't have their worst 20 years. Go look at Nebraska's record under Osborne, and in 20 years he had 9 wins, was his lowest season. That dude was a damn GOAT. And when they lost him, there was a huge drop off. It was immense. And it wasn't initially, shout out to Solich, but once they got rid of Polini, things didn't work out. So I think you guys ought to study coaches, and then that'll help you understand why I feel the way I do. How many years thirsty? He's not being abused. He looked healthy. Sorry, y'all. We saw a dog out in the road. We are out in the sticks. I apologize for the disconnect. Saw a dog out in the road. Feel bad. Want to pick him up? Could pick him up and bring him home to Ash. That would be crazy. 2 dogs? That'd be crazy. And we don't know him? And we don't know his temperament?
Right.
Oh, no. Let me get back over here. Yeah, so if we get, and I'm so, just hang in there, be patient. Come on, we'll keep doing what we do. I will do my best. So, that being said, question was, thoughts on Florida? Bridges from Oregon, probably not one of my favorite players. I think there are really good corners at Florida. They need to figure out some of their safety positions, but they don't have a bad. I don't think it'll be really good. I don't think it's like that. They do have really good. I think it's Marshall. He's a damn beast. He's a great player. But Rocco Glaze, if I can keep it real, I just don't think you can take a player from Oregon in their secondary, and if let me be very. We're 28 minutes in, and we're reconnecting over and over and over. Bummer. Sorry, guys. I'm trying my best. We're getting home as fast as we can. But what I'm saying is Oregon's secondary was so bad that they started signing. I think they signed like 5 different players to try to shore up their departures in their secondary. And they're signing anyone and everyone. And even Mohammed and what's his face from Samson. It'll come to me right now. But when I look at the tape and look at the players, I think that quality of player that's transferring out of Oregon is not very good. And I just think their recruiting misses. So the organizations, and they're not starting. So when you see one go to Florida and get into too deep, you got to say to yourself, ooh, how bad is Florida? We know Florida's secondary is bad. We saw some of their players transfer around. The starters are good. Is the too deep any good? And that's what you need to know. Because in college, you rotate your secondary and you bring in other players. And you need to have those guys that are good, and they're not. They become liabilities. So it's not the NFL. You need to have at least 10 guys in the secondary that can play football. And I don't think Florida has that right now. I love their starters. At least the starting corner. Safeties, not so much. So, yeah. Yeah, Carroll will definitely strive with Missouri's O-line. Yeah, I'm really encouraged by Missouri's O-line. I think it's actually pretty damn good. So I'm pretty excited to see what happens with Missouri as a whole. I think they have 2 good running backs. Nate Noel also transferred and get your first down type of guy. All in all, I think Missouri obviously returning their top 6 wide receivers. Missouri's poised to be great. Brady Cook, those guys. I think Missouri is going to be just frozen. Who's watching me? Who's watching? One bar. All I need is one mic. All I need is one mic. Do you guys think we ever landed on the moon? I think we landed on the moon. You think we landed on the moon, sweetie? I think we do. Hey, y'all, I appreciate whoever's still rocking me staying here. I'm out in the sticks. I apologize. Thank you for sticking around. It's just you and me, Rocco Glaze. We're the only 2 here, bruh. We just made it through. There's only 2 people watching now. That shit is crazy. This might be the worst live stream I've ever done. Just straight up. This might be the worst one. People are going to be like, study Rico's fall off. Dude, I'm doing live streams from the sticks, bro. This is crazy. Damn. You ain't built like that.
I am actually.
No, you're not. No, you're not. This girl got me right around a boat, bro. She got me. Yeah, you out in the sticks. I know, man. She got me in a boat. She got me behind a boat, and she won't pass it. You know how you're on that 2-lane road and you gotta be crazy and go against traffic and gun it? Not my girl, bro. She drives the speed limit.
I do know.
Baby, you can't see ahead. Slow
Yes,
down.
I can. It's got.
There's a hill right there.
Yeah, babe. It's a broken line. I can pass.
But you can't see ahead, is what I'm saying. And I know it's a broken line. You can't see it. We're about to hit an intersection right now. You need to calm down, bro. We're about to. Man, she's tripping, bro. You ever been in a car with your girl and she's driving? You're like, yo, this girl can't be driving, man. We can't let her drive. We let her drive out here in the sticks when no one's around. We can't let her drive in the city, let me tell you. Kimmy Kim would be driving. Kimmy Kim be changing lanes. Swerving, changing lanes. No, we were out in Spartanburg and Greenville today. Had a very event-fulfilled day, but we are 2 hours away from home, so it's apologies for the lag and the disconnect from the show and all the stuff. So I was giving my predictions on the SEC. Let's hope it sticks this time. My predictions on the SEC are, my top 3 teams are Missouri, Ole Miss, and Texas, right? Yeah, Texas, Ole Miss, Missouri, in that order. Texas, Ole Miss, Missouri. That feels about right. I grew up a Florida fan, and the past decade has been rough. Dude, where's a car coming? You tripping, bro. Next time, gun it from further away. You got me almost hitting this other car head on, bro.
They're not even close to us.
Look at that. See how hard they slammed on the brakes?
Oh my god, because they're turning down the road.
Nah, man, you almost got me. This girl is crazy, bro.
Silly.
I got a fast car. She don't even gun it. Look at a little kitty walking out here looking for her. Come cross the road, buddy. Man, this girl trying to get me killed out here. So you grew up as a Florida fan. Past decade has been rough. The highlight of it was Will Greer and Kyle Trask. Hey, Kyle Trask second in the Heisman voting. Realistically, what's a good year for us? 5 wins is a good year for Florida this year. They have a very daunting schedule. 5 wins feels like a good win, like a good schedule. 5 wins and Graham Mertz getting injured and DJ Lagway getting some experience in games. That'll probably be good. I don't know. I want DJ Lagway to redshirt so he can play in 4 games. But other than that, there's not much else you can do. Don't think you're going to be competitive or anything like that. You guys are years away. You need, obviously, Eugene Wilson, Trey Wilson is good, but you need more. You need more weapons. You need more things. You need better things, better guys up front. You need a whole lot of shit going on. Man, the Cold Springs Cafe look colder, look closed as hell. Clear. shit, dude. Sorry, y'all. We're out here in the sticks with the STICKS. STICKS. You guys can tell me in the chat, who do you think, what's your top 3 teams in the, let's go with the ACC. Who are your top 3 teams in the ACC? I'm curious if anybody wants to put it in the chat. Put it in order. Who are your top 3 teams in the ACC? I'm curious to see what you guys say. I know who my top 3 teams are in the ACC, so I'm curious. That'll be surprising. We go through each conference. You guys can let damn top 3 teams in the ACC. I bet there's somebody watching right now going, Rico, I don't even know the teams in the ACC. Teams in the ACC. You don't know them by conference?
No.
Can you name it? You can name.
What's Tulane in?
Tulane is not in the SEC.
Oh.
They're in the American Athletic Conference, the AAC. What you got?
USC?
USC is in the Pac-12, no longer the Pac-12. Now they're in the Big Ten. SEC. SEC. Let me give you a hint. Your favorite team is in the SEC.
Oh, LSU.
LSU's in the SEC. All right. Who else is in the SEC? Virginia Tech is in the ACC. Your SEC teams are the teams that play against LSU.
Oh, all right. So, Georgia?
Georgia.
Florida State?
No. No. Florida State. They've played against them twice, but no, not Florida State. That's an ACC team. Alabama. Georgia. LSU. Those are the big 3. Keep going.
Not Mississippi State.
Yes, Mississippi State is in there.
All right.
You're a beast. There's 14 teams in the SEC. You've named 4. We got it? You good?
Miami?
Miami's ACC. Ah. All right. Okay. That's fine. But when you get to LSU, you got to go next door. Go Ole Miss and Mississippi State. You got to go next door. Alabama and Auburn. Next door, Georgia. You go up top, South Carolina. Go down low, Florida. You getting here? Tennessee.
Yep.
Kentucky. Those are SEC teams. We ain't going nowhere. That guy's got it. Okay, you guys got your ACC teams in order now. We got, this dude wrote Miami, Clemson, and FSU. We got another one. He wrote Miami, NC State, and FSU. And then lastly, Eric wrote Miami, FSU, and Louisville. Nice. So most of you guys believe in Miami. That's good. Some of you, one of you believes in Clemson. All of you believe in FSU. So the problem with FSU, although I love FSU's defense, looks great. I want you guys to think of FSU and how they looked in their bowl game. In their bowl game. So thank you so much for giving me your answers. Shout out to Rocco Glaze. How many teams per conference do you think get in the playoffs, not including auto bids, like 2 SEC, 2 Big Ten, etc.? Yeah, first thing, I'll get to that right now, TD Florida. What I wanted to get at here is in the ACC, I need you to look at Florida State, and I need you to think of them as that team you saw in those bowl games, as that team you saw getting blown out against Georgia, because the only additions they've made are, you know, subtle additions here and there in different position groups. The large nucleus of players are the same. And I need people to understand that, because it's a huge indicator as to what you're going to look like 3 months from now. It's part of why I get my predictions so right, is because I actually study it, and you need to remember that. So comments like you think Florida State's going to be the best team in the ACC. That's fine. Like, you can think that, but you're just going to be wrong. Florida State's first time winning 10 games was last year. If you look at their recruiting classes, they haven't gotten a 4 or 5 star player at the upper echelon not once in the last 3 years until this year. So the players that they're actually getting can't contribute to the team. They're great at analyzing talent in the transfer portal, but they're not developing the talent that you're used to seeing for the most part. I think Azare is probably the only one that really sticks out to me. as far as like really in the too deep. Sorry, I'm sorry. So what I'm trying to say is like people are going to be sadly mistaken. When you saw Florida State with 8 draft picks, it's going to be almost like TCU, but they're going to be a little better because obviously Norvell is a good guy. But it's going to be like TCU's drop off or Kansas State's drop off after they won the Big 12, or it's going to be like how much do you expect from Washington? It's going to be very similar to Washington's drop-off this time. When you lose 8 draft picks or something like that, and you start losing 8 NFL caliber guys, and you don't backfill them with equivalent caliber guys, it's going to be a problem. So when you lose a running back like Benson, and then the replacements are just 2 very average role players, or you lose a star quarterback like Travis, and the replacement is a role player at quarterback, those things, that's very problematic. We saw that happen at TCU. We saw that happen. It's going to happen at Washington. It's just what happens when you study the decline of certain players. Now, don't get me wrong, dude. They got some dogs in the front 7. They got some players in the secondary, but those guys don't score you points. And when you start struggling to score points, you got to believe what you see. I remember last year when I was looking at Florida, all the homers, all the Florida fans were telling me how Florida's going to win 7 games or 8 games or 9 games, and I didn't know what I was talking about. And I said, no, I just watched them. This was 2 years ago. I watched them lose 30-3 against Oregon State. I watched them get blown out against Oregon State in a bowl game, and I said, guys, the team that just got blown out by Oregon State, that's who they are. No, they got blown out because there was opt-outs. And I'm like, yeah, none of those opt-outs are on the team. Those guys all hit the transfer portal or went to the NFL. So when you see a team get absolutely dismantled and blown out, you got to understand the opt-outs are not back. The opt-outs are gone. Like, that's it. They're not a part of your team. So it's not like you just instantly got better in 3 months. You might have addressed some things, but when you start looking at their transfer portal additions and you get a transfer from they got a transfer running back. He's a kickoff returner from Indiana. And I go watch all the tape and I go, this guy shouldn't be in your too deep at all. Yeah, he is. You know why? Because you just lost 2 NFL draft picks at wide receiver. Who the hell else do you have? You lost Micah at wide receiver as well. You lost Malik at wide receiver 2 years ago. You lose guys. And you're taking scrubs off Alabama's wide receiver core and then trying to convince me they're elite. And they're not. And that's the problem, is you just have okay guys this year and not elite guys. And that's going to make a difference when it's time to push come to shove. In those pivotal moments, it's going to make a huge difference. And I think Florida State's going to discover that face first, unfortunately. Love Miami. I hope they figure it out. They don't have a great coaching staff. They got some amazing players, at least individual players. Love what Clemson's doing. If Cade Klubnik can play football, they're going to win. Great. They're going to be great. They have an incredible nucleus. They still need to find better wide receivers. They still need to develop that quarterback position. But other than that, Clemson's the real deal. I believe that. Who else did you guys list? Louisville. Louisville's going to be another one of those teams where they lost some NFL guys, and who knows what they replaced it with. We're not sure. We're still confused over how good some of these players are. And defensively, I like some pieces, but Brom's never known for having a great defense. Brian Brom is not all that great when it comes to coaching the defense, and more importantly, it doesn't put a somewhere else. Put him at DB. You don't put him at those pivotal positions, nickel back. You just say, oh no, he's a wide receiver. He's one of your best athletes, but you make him a wide receiver over and over and over again because that's what you're used to doing. You're used to picking guys and developing them at those position groups instead of making that hard decision and when somebody should be an athlete. So until Louisville starts beating Kentucky, I don't want to talk about them. I don't want to believe in them. Virginia Tech's who would be it. Justin Jolly coming in from UConn, like that. So it's just a team. So how many teams are into the so the season obviously has to occur. We're going to find out what the voters want to do. It just happens over and over. You guys are troopers if you're sticking around. I apologize. So I see Eric wrote Jalen Lucas is a stud from Indiana. And it's stuff like that that kind of bugs me. I don't know when the narrative started that Jalen Lucas is a stud from Indiana. If you watch film on Indiana,